Hello guys, just want to share with you my knowledge about DMR radios. I have been installing digital mobile radios for the last 5 years. I have installed repeater systems, uh, trunking systems, terrestrial trunk radios, and command centers, dispatch, and even marine VHF radios. I kind of thought that it's better to share my knowledge on YouTube so that people may be able to know more about these kinds of radios. So that is why I created this channel to create more videos about DMR and other related technologies. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss about what is DMR, what are the advantages of DMR over analog, what are radio IDs, talk groups, and zones. There are a lot of features that DMR can offer, more than 100 I think, but these are the main features that defines DMR over analog and other systems: the talk groups and the zones, and of course the radio ID. And also we are going to talk about basic programming in order to appreciate what these talk groups and zones are. Okay, but before anything else, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, like and subscribe, and if you can share it, please do so. Share it to as many people as you can. To start off, what is DMR? DMR is digital mobile radio. It is a standard created by ETSI, European Telecommunication Systems Institute. These organizations are the ones that created TETRA, terrestrial trunk radio, another form of professional mobile radios, and they also create the GSM standard, the 3G standard, the 4G standard, and other standards. Okay, so this DMR was created with the idea of migrating existing analog systems, analog radios, to digital. So there are a lot of companies and organizations that still use analog system. So the goal of this DMR is for easy transition from analog to digital system. Okay, now digital radio or DMR is divided into 3 levels or 3 tiers: tier 1, 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 is the radio to radio communication. A lot of people call it simplex mode, wherein one radio can contact another radio, just radio to radio communication without the use of repeaters. Tier 2 is known as DMR conventional, which uses repeaters, therefore extending the range of the communication. So one radio can contact another radio using the repeater. And of course, lastly, we have the trunking mode, wherein you use multiple repeaters and additional system. But today we are not going to discuss about the trunking. Maybe I'll make another video about this, but let us focus on the simplex or the direct mode and the conventional mode. So what are the advantages of DMR over analog? So I am going to only share a few features that makes DMR more advantageous over analog in the long term, but there are definitely a lot of features that DMR radios can possess which are far better than the analog radios. So number 1 is the double system capacity. So DMR radios or digital radios use what we call TDMA, or time division multiple access. So what is this time division multiple access? So with analog radios, as you can see on the left, given a single frequency, the analog radios will use all of the single frequency all the time. Okay, so if one radio pushes the PTT button, he will use that, but the other radios can no longer use that same frequency unless he pulls out of the PTT button. If the user stops the PTT button, then that's the only time when the other radios can use that frequency. So that frequency is being used all the time. Okay, but in TDMA, that same frequency is divided into slots. Okay, as you can see, and on the right, you have this part of the frequency is being used, red, but the other one could be used, could not be used, right? So what if only one channel is being used? Then for example, this red portion over here, if this is being used, let's say the radio uses 5 watts of power and the other one is not used, then this is 0 power. Okay, and this is divided into split seconds or millisecond, 1,000 of a second. So only this slot is used while the other one is not used. Therefore, you save a lot of power, a lot of battery life if you compare it with analog. But if you use the other time slot, then this same frequency has doubled its capacity already, right? Because with same frequency there are 2 slots, which means there are two simultaneous calls can be created, okay, for a single frequency. So that is what you call double system capacity. So if your governing agency gives you a single pair of frequency, that single frequency can be used twice. Okay, can be that frequency used can be doubled, unlike the analog radio wherein you just program one channel and then that's it. For all, no matter how many radios are being used, that is just one channel per frequency, unlike digital wherein you use one frequency, but you can use 2 slots or 2 time slot, therefore doubling the capacity. So you can now create multiple talk groups and use the different slots 1 and slot 2 to contact other groups, or to use it in order to contact another radio from the same group. Okay, so for example, this radio here in the police can contact another group. For example, radio in the police can contact the traffic group, while a radio in the fire can contact the council group, depending on the programming. So all of this is done simultaneously, all at the same time, because they are of different slots. But the good thing here is you are just using the same frequency. You are not adding another frequency to the system, but you are just using the same frequency. Now, how many groups or talk groups can be created in a single DMR system? Okay, so all in all, you have 16 times 64 or 1024 talk groups, okay, using this same frequency. Okay. Now, as I've said a while ago, if you look at the TDMA, For example, if one radio only uses, or if only one channel is being used or one slot is being used in the TDMA, the other slot is idle, which means that there is no power being used to transmit since there is no one using it, right? So therefore, that time in which no one is using can be translated to power savings. Therefore, the DMR radio has more battery life than the standard analog radio. Okay, theoretically, it has a 40% battery life improvement, but of course, this is just in theory. In the actual, there are a lot of factors that affect battery life. Okay, for you have temperature, you have the battery cycle, heat, etc., etc. So but I think it's safe to say that digital radios are more power efficient than analog radios. And of course, we have clearer voice, since analog radios, as you go farther and farther from the repeater or from the main signal, analog radios have lesser power. They receive lesser power, and therefore they receive more noise. As compared to the digital, if the digital radio no longer receives that signal, it will automatically be cut off. It will not have scratchy or noisy audio. Okay, so for example, you have analog radio, then like this one.
Gundian Park.
So with analog radio,
33949,
you have
F33949.
but with digital radio, you only have voice. Even in the last on the edge of the signal, you still have clearer voice. You will not have
Gundian Park, F rank 33949, F33949.
Be out with an unlicensed black Cadillac.
Okay, so as I've said, digital radio, even on the edge of that signal coverage, you still get the same, almost the same quality of sound as when you are at the center of signal coverage. Unlike analog radios, wherein the farther you go, the lesser is the signal received and the more the noise. Another feature of digital radio is the backward compatibility. So if you have an analog radio, you can easily contact DMR radio and vice versa. Okay, so this is used by mixed mode using repeater or via scanning, and the DMR radio also has its own analog side of programming. So therefore, you can still use analog radio even if you have a newer digital radio. Another feature is the analog or the digital radios can be integrated to your existing IPPBX and GSM gateways. So the digital radio in the field can easily contact the IP phone in the office, or if you have a router and some static IP, the digital radios can also contact outside calls and vice versa. So outside calls, for example FXO, can be connected to the IPPBX, then it goes to the switch and then to the repeater, then the repeater transmits the call to the radio. And of course, we have the dispatching features. So hopefully we can have another video for this next time. So what are talk groups and zones? So let us try to program another radios in order to know more about talk groups and zones.